The Pittsburgh Steelers lose to the Detroit Lions 24-17 to close out the preseason. On to week one of the regular season against the Atlanta Falcons. Steelers are 3-point underdogs to the Atlanta Falcons, and those odds courtesy of betonline.ag, today's presenting sponsor of the Bleav in Steelers postgame show. If you want to get in on the NFL action this season, head over to betonline.ag today. You can use our promo code Bleav, that's BLEAV, to get started over at betonline.ag. BetOnline, the game starts here. Steelers fall to the Lions 24-17, and there's going to be a lot made of who's the quarterback going to be, and it's this national narrative. But if you follow this show and other reputable people that cover the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's going to be Russell Wilson week one against the Atlanta Falcons. Wilson's lone drive today helps guide the Steelers to a touchdown, had a nice downfield pass to George Pickens on a corner route, and Cordero Patterson punches it in from, about 30 plus out. And that was all the Steelers needed to see from Russell Wilson heading into his 13th year. Justin Fields comes in and leads the Steelers to a touchdown on his first drive. He finally made the right read on a read option play and gave it to the back for the score. We saw some quarterback center exchange issues again with Justin Fields, though, because on his two other drives, the Steelers had to punt. And regardless of who you want to blame, it was the exchange between Fields and Zach Frazier, a rookie. That's 4 bad quarterback center exchanges that have led to fumbles in 3 games. Something that Mike Tomlin consistently says, and I don't know if he'll say it in the postgame today, of who is going to be the starter week one. I think he's going to let that narrative play out a little bit. But what he says is you have to make routine plays routinely. And Justin Fields has had his opportunities this preseason. It is going to be Russell Wilson week one. I don't care what you see on any of these talk shows. If you listen to people that actually reputably cover the team, I think the Steelers saw what they needed to see with 1 drive, 1 touchdown with Russell Wilson today, and it's on to the regular season. And it is frustrating with Fields of let's get those problems figured out right now. Took some sacks. I don't think all of them were his fault. Up front, I thought Broderick Jones was better today than he was against the Bills in the preseason. Devery Hamilton, number 67 along the offensive line, I thought got pushed back a few times. But Fields, when his first or maybe his second read isn't there, just kind of wants to take off and run. And teams are getting more accustomed to that after the last few seasons in Chicago. It's not to say that he can't pick up 5, 10, 15 yards at a time. But when teams know that that's something that he consistently does, they'll stay in their lanes and have sound gap responsibility, given his mobility. And so that's what I saw with Fields, to where, yes, I'm not at practice, but at least in terms of the performance in the games, there's really nothing Fields has demonstrated that would put him head and shoulders above Wilson to where you'd want to start him. I understand the playmaking ability. I understand the mobility, but for better or for worse, it's going to be Russell Wilson week one. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. You have the ability to enter the super chat as well. If you want to support myself and the Bleav in Steelers show, you have the ability to do that in the comments. I will get to the comments during our What Yins Think segment. I want to share a few other observations from the game. But overall, the first 2 drives, it was like 2 drives, 2 touchdowns. Let's stay healthy. I like what I saw to start this game. Having said all of this, though, too, the Lions did not play their starters. So it's not like Broderick Jones up front's going up against a guy like Aiden Hutchinson. And that's not the Steelers' fault at all. But if you want to say the 2 drives, 2 touchdowns, we're ready to roll, we're pumped, keep in mind, Dan Campbell did not play his starters from the Detroit standpoint. And you're talking about a lot of talented players. Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Laporta, the tight end, the 2-headed monster they have in the backfield. I could keep going, but you get the point. So, yeah, you're excited about what the Steelers' first team looked like. I'm glad that they played, though. I think that they needed the reps, and hopefully you can get some of the issues ironed out in August versus September the 8th these games start actually counting during the regular season, because everything that happened in the preseason does not matter. We saw it a year ago, 5 drives, 5 touchdowns with Kenny Pickett and company. It had no correlation to the regular season. So that's just what I saw from the offensive standpoint for the Pittsburgh Steelers today. How about Nick Herbig off the edge? TJ Watt and Cam Hayward, Highsmith didn't play in the preseason, didn't matter. When I saw Herbig getting after the quarterback again, given his opportunities, it's going to be awfully tough to keep this guy off the field. And when he made plays yet again, he was everywhere in the snaps that he had with the first team unit in this game. I'm like, hey, we're going to need him early on in the year because Watt and Highsmith haven't played. If they need a blow, I have the utmost confidence that Nick Herbig can go in there and just wreak havoc for opposing offenses. And you saw it yet again from the Steelers' standpoint. I'm pulling up the box score right now. 3 tackles, all 3 solo tackles, 2 sacks. And I mean, what did he play? First quarter, maybe a little bit into the second quarter. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, this is a guy I want to stay healthy, to have depth at the edge rush position. Who do you take off the field? You're not going to take TJ Watt off the field, a defensive player of the year. And Highsmith, like, this is an elite duo between Watt and Highsmith, but it's going to be so hard not to play Herbig. Just from what we've seen, he gives opposing offensive tackles real problems. And with the opportunities that he's had dating back to last year, this guy, every time he gets the opportunity to be on the field with that defense, he makes plays. And we saw it yet again today. So glad that he could stay healthy going into the regular season. I'm very excited what we see in year 2 with Nick Herbig. I just don't know how you get snaps. If you're defensive coordinator Terrell Austin, are there packages that you could put in to where you have all 3 guys on the field in certain scenarios to rush the passer? I know that we're talking about players coming off the edge. I think that highly of Nick Herbig from what I've seen to this point. A lot of creativity there. And at the very least, you get that 3-man rotation and all 3 guys stay fresh. I'm very excited year 2 of Nick Herbig. Really liked what I saw. At the end of the game, Ryan Watts walking off under his own power. Looked like a neck injury. I was glad to see he could walk off. Rookie player, especially this late in the game, but it being the preseason finale, hopefully that this does not have any bearing on his future with the Steelers and in the NFL in terms of an injury. Always good to see a player walk off under his own power versus I thought at one point that they might need to get the cart. I am glad he is okay. I'm glad he is okay because it looked very serious towards the end there, but he walks off under his own power right before the end of the game. Right before the end of the game. Let's get to what Yins think. I'm going to go through some viewer comments here, and then we'll talk about a little bit about the upcoming matchup, week 1 on September the 8th against the Falcons. Let's see. Hannibal saying the 3rd and 4th team defense didn't look very good against the run for sure, and the pass either. Yeah, and the thing is, though, is how many of those players are going to make the team, and the players that are playing at that point most likely are going to fill special teams roles if they are to make the final roster. So Hannibal, thank you for checking in. Smooth 258 saying maybe it's not Fields' fault, but why do we snap fumbles keep happening with him? Can't be a coincidence. Both players assume responsibility between a quarterback center exchange. And that is something that has to be something you don't even think about. Because if that happens, you're preventing your own offense from scoring, and the defense gets a free play. You move, if it's not 3rd down, you move your team back down in distance, and you're fighting the chains so much as you are the other defense. But 4 and 3 games, not great. Not great if you actually are in a quarterback battle, which I think has been overblown by national media and people that don't really know what's going on with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Smooth 258, thank you for checking in. Teresa checking in saying, it's Fields. He doesn't follow the center wherever he needs to step right or left to block at the snap. Good observation. I'd need to watch him tape, but I know that has been a thing prior to this game. I would need to see what happened in today's game. Today's game, I think it was a shotgun snap that he just wasn't ready for. It was a miscommunication. But in terms of when Fields is under center, I'm with you there, Teresa. Thank you for your comment. Appreciate that. And I've seen that on tape in terms of when Fields is under center, likely a running play or a play action play is when a center actually needs to move to his right or his left. Good observation there. Good eyes. DLW saying blame Fields all you want. He played in the monsoon game and there were no fumbles. Stop. Things happen. Yeah, DLW, I appreciate it. Yeah, and look, like blame Fields, blame the center. You cannot have that happen if you want to move the ball effectively and have an effective offense. First or second game, okay, I understand it. It's the third game now. There should not be these issues, preseason or not, because in the regular season, when it actually matters, it's, oh, well, the defense didn't stop us. It was our own unforced error. You can't have that in the NFL when every single game counts and means so much. Means so much. So look, people lost their minds a little bit with this quarterback battle. It's going to be Russell Wilson week 1. I don't know how long the Steelers will drag this out in the next 2 weeks. It'll be 2 weeks from tomorrow that we see the regular season opener against the Falcons. And it's a homecoming for Arthur Smith, where he was the head coach for the past 3 seasons, 3 consecutive seasons of 7-10 football in Atlanta. Is it going to mean a little bit more for him? How the Steelers rally. They're going to say all the right things to media members in these next 2 weeks. But this has to be a game that the team has circled because this is Arthur Smith's former employer. He was the head coach. He should really know the personnel on this Atlanta Falcons team that they're going up against. And then in week 2, the Steelers against the Broncos, the homecoming, if you will, for Russell Wilson, and how that ended poorly in Denver. How do the Steelers rally around their new offensive coordinator and then Russell Wilson? And the Steelers apparently liked what they saw with Russ today with one drive and say, we're going to get you out of there. Make sure you go into week 1 healthy and ready to go. Entering his 13th year. I don't need to see Russell Wilson a ton in the preseason because, again, it's preseason. Really glad that the Steelers offense scored on the first 2 drives of the game, though. Preseason or not, just to see, okay, last week when Russell Wilson and Justin Fields played the entire game and your offense only mustered 3 points a week ago, not good. And again, I know what we saw today was against the Detroit Lions backup players. I am well aware of that. Let me see if there's any other comments to get to. Those are my thoughts from the Steelers' 24-17 loss to the Detroit Lions in the preseason finale. The offensive coordinator for Atlanta is Zach Robinson. Yep. And again, it was the head coach Arthur Smith, who was the head coach for the last 3 years. If I misspoke on that, my apologies. But Arthur Smith, again, is it going to be personal? Can he help galvanize and rally the team? And he should really know this roster for the Atlanta Falcons, front and back, what their strengths and weaknesses are. I would think from a schematic standpoint, I know you have a new head coach in Atlanta in Raheem Morris, but I would think that you know what players on that roster can and can't do. I would think that that would be an advantage to the Pittsburgh Steelers in week 1. Week 1 of the Kirk Cousins era, too. And it's got to work for Atlanta this year, too, because of all the first-round picks that they have on that offense. Drake London, Kyle Pitts, the Texas running back that they have, too. It's just like, at what point does that all come together? And that's why you bring over Kirk Cousins in the offseason. It's almost like a sliding doors moment for the Steelers, too, because they were a team that was rumored to go after Kirk Cousins. But it's going to be Russell Wilson week 1. I am curious to see how the Steelers, how long they drag it out for before they officially name a starter, because it will be Russell Wilson. I can promise you that. Not seeing anything else. I appreciate everyone checking in. Again, my name is Mark Bergin, just sharing my thoughts from the Steelers' 24-17 loss in the preseason finale. Not really focused on the loss at all. I think a big thing is you avoid major injuries this preseason going into the year. Again, you didn't see Cam Hayward, Alex Highsmith, TJ Watt. So in week 1, you might need to rotate those players in and out to make sure that they're in game shape. I mean, they'll be ready to go. I have no doubt about that. but I hope that they're not overexerted just considering we didn't see them for a single snap in the preseason. I'm okay with kind of a more country club style preseason and training camp for those players because we know what they can do on the field. I just don't want to see something, where especially TJ Watt, you absolutely need him on the field for this team to achieve any kind of success in the 2024 season. And another thing too, Jaylen Warren did not play today. Will he be ready to go week 1? And if not, if it's going to be Cordero Patterson at the running back position, he ripped off a long touchdown. I think he could be a nice complement to Najee Harris. I also thought LaMichael Pirine ran the ball well at times in the game. On the stat sheet, 6 carries, 16 yards, only 2.7 yards a carry. He did have a touchdown. So who would be that guy behind Najee Harris as the number 2? Likely Patterson, but you need Patterson in the return game as well. I'll leave with this comment. This is a good comment. Keep blaming Fields. When Wilson flops in the first 2 games, the whole stadium will be screaming for Fields game 3 at home. See where you're at every single quarter. The first 4 games, first 8 games. You've got a bye in week 9. Week 10 is the first game Cam Sutton could come back. He had an interception today against his former team in the Detroit Lions. Big Tiny brings up a good point. The Steelers are paying a combined less than $5 million for both Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Now, I'd rather have both of those players than to have brought back Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph. Obviously, you weren't going to bring back Mitch Trubisky. But sometimes you get what you pay for, and it's almost like whoever the Steelers start, they're going to try to bring the other guy in to serve as a spark plug if things don't go right. So even if Fields was the starter, then you bring in Russell Wilson or vice versa. I think you start Wilson for the experience that he has, number 1. Future Hall of Fame player, a guy who is going into his 13th year, a 9-time Pro Bowler, a Super Bowl champion, is not going to want to be on the sidelines holding a clipboard. But then it's also that conditional pick back to Chicago. If Justin Fields plays fewer than 51% of the offensive snaps, it's a 6th-round pick back to the Bears. If it's more than that, then it is a 4th-round pick. So that's yet another reason why Russell Wilson's going to be the starter. Thank you for the comment there. I appreciate that. Chad saying, watch the first half, keep throwing to the tight end over the middle. Amen. Pat Freiermuth has to be a big part of the passing game, especially if you're not going to trade for a player like, say, a Brandon Ayuk or another receiver. Freiermuth's going to be a big element of the passing game, something that, for whatever reason, the Steelers did not do under Matt Canada in the 2023 season. So that's going to be a big element of this team. I think play action is going to be huge. You're going to see a lot of running the ball, setting up the play action, something that this offense has missed dearly in the last several years. My name is Mark Bergin. Steelers lose the Lions 24-17. I'm going to go ahead and wrap there. This upcoming week, we're going to have more guests here on the Bleav in Steelers show to get you ready for week 1 as we get closer and closer. Keep an eye on when the Steelers officially name their starting quarterback, but I already tell you it's going to be Russ. I'm a broken record at this point. My name is Mark Bergin. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this podcast, leave us a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify, the Bleav in Steelers show. I want to thank today's presenting sponsor, betonline.ag. And if you're watching on YouTube, if you haven't already, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Hope all of you have a great rest of your weekends, great rest of your days. I'll see you this upcoming week. Till then, take care. So long, everybody.